Hello, I'm Ben Kingston-Hughes, the Managing Director of Inspired Children, and we're a company working with vulnerable children across the UK. And I'm also an author. I've just published a book all about play. It's called A Very Unusual Journey into Play, and it is just that, because I talk about the neuroscience of play, the biochemistry of play, the evolutionary biology of play, but crucially, I talk about the stuff I see week in, week out, working with vulnerable children. I see the profound importance of play to our children. Now, I'm really sorry, but I can't be with you today, but I have been given a challenge. And my challenge is this. I've got 5 minutes to tell you as many reasons why early years is the most important time for children and why early years practitioners are by far the most important adults in any child's entire life. By the end of this 5 minutes, you'll be convinced that you're the most important people in the world, which hopefully you already knew. You'll also be wanting a massive pay rise and probably a company car as well, but we can't do anything about that. But I can, in 5 minutes, tell you exactly why you're the most important people in the world. So here we go, start the clock. Okay, number one, neuroscience. We know that in early years, children are going through the most accelerated time in their entire life for brain growth. It will never grow as fast again as it does in early years. And we know what builds brains. We know that leaving a brain unattended in a dark room like a mushroom will not allow it to grow. We also know that children need experiences to make their brains grow. Brain growth is experiential. It's the experiences of childhood that grow the brain to its full size and capability and potential it's going to need for the rest of that child's life. And where do they get those wonderful brain growth experiences? In your early years settings. And in fact, we know that play is the mechanism that gives the broadest range of those experiences. Just think about the different types of play, from running around being silly to climbing trees to digging holes, playing hide and seek, pretending your puppet has got a voice. They light up a virtual firework display of activity in the brain, and we know that that activity physically grows the brain. In fact, it's a use it or lose it scenario, and that is what you're doing every single day. Beneath the EYFS, beneath all the other outcomes that you need to achieve, you are physically growing children's brains. But if brain growth is not enough for you, what about life expectancy? Because we now know that the strong, healthy heart, bones, respiratory system, in fact, every aspect of our survivability, it's not built in adulthood. It's too late. You cannot build it then. Your heart health, for instance, heart health is a key, in fact, the key criteria for life expectancy. And you can only build a strong, healthy heart in early childhood. Once you get to a certain age, it's too late. You don't get a second chance unless you get a heart transplant. And heart health is just one of the key criteria for life expectancy. What about bone health? All the time children are running and jumping and skipping and playing and rolling and crawling in your settings. They are building the bone health they are going to need to help prevent osteoporosis and other diseases later on, 40, maybe 50 years later on in life. Life expectancy is intrinsically connected to the early years experiences your children have. Okay. If it's not life expectancy that floats your boat, how about changing our entire society? Think about the people who have changed society, the thinkers, the architects, the mathematicians, the artists, the composers, the people who have made us think differently about our world, who have created inventions that have changed our world. They all share a trait in common. It's called divergent thinking, although you and I would probably call it thinking outside the box. And when I teach in different settings, because I visit lots of settings to do training, I quite often teach this whilst playing in a big pile of cardboard boxes. So we're teaching thinking outside the box while we're literally sat in a cardboard box. But this way of thinking that is creative problem solving, innovative, we now know it comes from early years. Parallels have been made between early years experiences and the kind of mindset that can ultimately change the world. It's the loose parts play that you do. It's the freely chosen play opportunities. It's the imaginative play. All of these things, once again, lighting up your brain like a firework display, but giving you that problem solving mindset that is the essence of a growth mindset for the rest of your life and could ultimately one day change the world. And that's what you do every single day. All right, here's one for people who don't value children, which I know is none of you, but there are people in society who don't put children's welfare first. But it turns out that even if you're the most cynical politician or whoever in the world, that investing in early years is the most sound investment you will ever make for the entire country's economy. For every pound you invest in early years, you reap a £12 bonus to the economy. Now, you show me a high interest account that can match that. It turns out that if we focus on early years and we give our children social aspirations, all the cultural capital stuff, all of that problem solving that we've just talked about, that means those children will be more successful. Those children will then earn more wages. That wage equates to spending power. That improves a country's economy. And in countries that have done this, they have noticed an effect on their economy 10, 15, 20 years later on, because you're investing in the people who are going to change that economy. So even if you don't value children, like it seems that some of our politicians don't, you're still doing one of the most amazing things for your children, in fact for your economy, by investing in children. All right, if none of that has swayed you, how about genetics? Well, genetics bores me. I don't use genetics because, let's be honest, the best early years workers in the world can't change the genetics of their children. Yeah, we can't change the fundamental molecules of our children. And I've never really given genetics much thought. I've ignored it because it doesn't affect my job. Except for the last 30 years of working with children, I have been utterly wrong. It turns out you can change the DNA of your children. There is a new study called epigenetics that tells us that our experiences of early childhood actually turn on and off the markers in our DNA, and that is passed on to the next generation. So if you provide an environment full of nurturing, full of joy, full of play and lots of stimulation and curiosity for your children, of course you're helping those children potentially for the rest of their lives. But you're also switching off the markers for high stress hormone production, which means that when that child has a baby, which could be in 20 years' time, a baby you might never meet, the work you did with that child will have impacted on that unborn baby. And in studies in rats, it's been shown to be not one generation, but two. So the next time you work with children, just think about that. You're not just helping that child have the most incredible start in life, full of play and nurturing and curiosity. You're helping their unborn children to have better prospects for mental health and emotional well-being from the genetic level. And you're also helping their unborn grandchildren to have a better start in life. That is how important early years workers are. You're actually affecting 2 whole generations of humanity. And if every government in the world invested in early years, made sure that you guys were paid as much, if not more, than secondary school teachers, made sure that every child in the world experienced a wonderful, nurturing, loving, playful childhood, within 2 generations, our entire species would change. We would be genetically different as a species, less warlike, less misogynistic, less racist, less aggressive across the board. We would have better prospects for mental health and emotional well-being from the genetic level. And all it would take is every government in the world to invest where it should be invested, in the future of humanity, which is our children, and it's the early years practitioners who are shaping those children. So listen, I know I failed. I went over 5 minutes. I hope you'll forgive me for that. I did my best. But it does give you a very whirlwind tour of some of the stuff that's in my book. And if you're interested in the book, please do look out for it. It's called, in fact, A Very Unusual Journey into Play. Please do contact me if you've got any questions about any of the stuff I've just talked to you about. And also get in touch if you want me to come and deliver training at your settings, because I love to visit nursery settings and schools and after school clubs to deliver training. But on that note, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I do hope that I meet you all again one day in person. Thank you very much.